Welcome to Tech Biz Now. Our episode today is called The Extra Mile, Encouraging Above and Beyond Performance. In this episode, we will explore effective strategies for encouraging above and beyond performance in the workplace. And our guest today is Sue Ingram. Sue's background is in HR, working in the City of London and sales environment before leading a motivational study with the long-term unemployed. For the past 14 years, Sue's company, Converse Well, has helped leaders and managers handle people issues with authority and confidence. She provides training in management and communication skills for managers to gain extraordinary results from perfectly ordinary people. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Tech Biz Now. We've got a very, very special guest today. Hello, Sue. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good.
Sue, before we start with the questions, can you introduce yourself and also your business?
Okay, my name is Sue Ingram and I'm running a business, Converse Well, and I help managers and leaders converse well with their staff. I've actually written a book, Fire Well, about how to fire staff so they say thank you. But basically I specialize in everything around communication with staff and how to create cultures and atmospheres where staff do their very, very best. My background's HR, but that was ages back. I've been an executive coach for 25 years, and I was an honorary teaching fellow at Lancaster University for 11. And I taught on their MBA program for 4 years, a very short course called How to Lead Difficult People, Leading Difficult People, which again is all about communication. So that's my specialism.
Okay. Yes. Oh, great to for you to be our guest today. And I guess like for today's topic, we'll be discussing how to give an extra mile to your job. So my first question is, what constitutes an extra mile? Is that similar to a discretionary effort?
Yes, it's very much discretionary effort. I mean, discretionary effort is the term that HR uses to describe it, and they'll have papers around it and all that kind of thing. But basically, what you as the boss want to see are people taking ownership of their job, thinking big picture rather than just what's the minimum that I need to do to get out of here at 5 o'clock. They will be working through their lunch hour. They will be working late just to finish something off. They will be coming to you with some ideas and some suggestions that they think will work. You'll get a sense of energy around them and a sense of, look, this is important. We need to get this done. And I'm taking responsibility for my bit of getting it done. And you just see energy. And it's lovely because as a boss, you're no longer having to drive the team and drive output. They're creating it automatically themselves. Yeah, big difference, big difference.
You mentioned bosses. So
Yeah.
how can bosses and leaders create that environment, encouraging in their employees and staff to go above and beyond them?
Okay, it's a very good question. I mean, number one, I think, is to have a purpose for your work over and above making money. I mean, every business needs to make money. Every business will have very important KPIs around cash flow. You can't ignore the money side of it. But money, quite frankly, doesn't motivate a lot of people. And so it will motivate you as the boss quite a lot, but it won't motivate your staff because they have no interest in that. So it's about having a purpose for your work in addition to making money. And it needs to align. So one purpose will be we make all our clients feel respected, valued, supported, that their question or query gets solved really quickly. All our clients feel that we that we want, that we're happy to support them, that it's important that we do, and all that kind of thing, so that they feel that they're making a contribution that's sort of more heartfelt than just a straight numerical KPI. Numerical KPIs really don't motivate people. Doing something extra because you had a client who was perhaps elderly and confused, and you were able to spend that little bit more time with them, just making sure everything was okay and they understood everything properly, and are you okay now, and you will phone me back if you have another query, and I'm here always if you need something. That kind of work is more heartfelt and more inspirational, and it's more of a kind of mission. It's more of, that we're making a solid and important contribution to the world, in addition to making money.
Yeah,
So
so you mentioned a contribution to the world. So that means that you are pretty much fostering a positive workplace culture. So do you think
yes,
that influences
it
influences
does,
employees then?
because they go home rewarded that they've spoken to that elderly lady today who was a bit confused about what was going on, and oh, that was good, I did a good piece of work there, tick. The fact that they made you money today, one, it's not immediate. They'll know at the end of 3 months, at the end of the year, oh, we did good profit, great, but it's not important to them that they made profit for the firm, other than the firm exists to go into next year. But the fact that I made that phone call and I did that, or it could be somebody who is more motivated by technical achievement. So for them, it could be, well, that was a really nutty problem. Been thinking about it for 3 days and I finally solved it today. So that could be someone who is, sorry, my phone's ringing and I should just switch it off. So let me switch that off. That could be motivated more by, you need to know what motivates each individual person in your team and create an environment. So if you've got a technical team, it could be, we solve really complex problems for people and we make it simple. Or we find, I worked for an IT company once and we were writing code, and I know that clean code is a phrase that software developers really adore, and they speak in awe of someone who's able to write clean code, so it's that kind of thing that's really important.
Okay. One of the things that I think, like in terms of discretionary effort, sometimes, and when I was working in corporate, I do want to be recognized as well, and I do want to get rewarded. But everything is different, I guess, for people in terms of recognition and reward. Do you think recognition, there are certain recognitions and certain rewards that actually plays in motivating discretionary effort?
Yes.
What are those?
Okay. This is where people get very confused, and
Yes.
a lot of bosses get very confused. How do I reward my staff?
Yeah.
Okay, all the evidence shows, studies over decades, they come up with the same kind of pattern. Money does not motivate people. Money does not reward people. You think, what? Hold on a moment. No, money up to a point does. I mean, people do need to be able to pay the rent, get their haircut, buy a new pair of shoes. Do you know what I mean? So money up to a point does reward people and is important. But once they've got security, they're paying the rent, they've got a bit of extra money for pizza on a Friday and all that kind of thing. Money falls right down to the bottom, not to the bottom, to about 5th or 6th on the list of things that reward them. The lovely thing for bosses, the really great thing for bosses, is that the things that come above money are for free. They're for free.
What are those?
To be seen as unique. I'm not just a cog in a wheel. So that's, my boss understands me. My boss understands my strengths. He understands my weaknesses. She plays to my strengths. She accommodates my weakness. My boss values and validates me. That is as simple as saying, thank you. Great piece of work. Thank you. And the being in on things, people actually value being in on something that's got that's important, that they feel in the know about things, that they're being treated as an adult, that they're included in. Now that's difficult as a business because, of course, some things necessarily need to be kept confidential. You can't discuss it with all the team because you're not in a position to do so yet. But where you can, include them in the decision making wherever possible. For example, there was a guy he was expanding, yes, and he was moving to bigger premises, yes, and he was planning the whole premises, all of it. I said, "Why are you doing that?" He said, "Well, I said, hand it over to your staff. Say to your staff, come on, guys, ideas for how, because he got this sort of empty space. They could configure it however they liked." And I said, hand it over to them. Tell them what the budget is. Tell them the suppliers that you've negotiated with, and tell them to design it. That's a prime example of where it didn't really matter what the decision was. Obviously, there were some efficiencies, and they wanted a coffee room, and they wanted a quiet space, and they wanted meeting rooms, and they wanted this. But the team got suddenly in on it. They were like, "Oh, we get to create, we get to choose the color of the paint on the walls. It doesn't matter." Or you might veto bright red, because that's actually quite an aggressive color, but you know what I mean. It doesn't matter what color is on the wall. Why is the boss taking all that time deciding that, when the staff who are going to live in it can take that over, enjoy it, and have a part? Is there a budget for plants? Do we want plants? If we do want plants, how much is it going to cost to have them watered every week by an outside firm, or do we do it ourselves? Who's got green fingers in the I'll do it. I'll water the plants. So that person's then you get discretionary effort, because you find that they do their day's work, and then they spend 3/4 of an hour once a week after 5 o'clock going around and watering all the plants, because this is so then that's when you get buy-in. The other thing that they value more than money is sympathetic help with personal problems. Now that's a bit dicey, because you are by no means, and never should be a counsellor, ever. But you can, as a human being, empathize with somebody who's going through a difficult time. My niece has just recently got engaged, and her fiance, I can say it now, can't I? Fiance, he started a new job at the beginning of the year, which was a big job. And sadly, about 8 weeks into the new job, his father had been battling cancer for some considerable time, and it became very apparent that the end was coming up very quickly, and he had to take leave, because he had to go home, and he had to do, support his mother and all the rest of it. And he was going, and his dad died. About 3-4 weeks later, his dad died. So he was stuck in this difficult place of it's a new job, didn't really know anybody, and he was taking all this time out. But there was, he was valuing his family over and above any job anyway. But what really switched it on for him was when he got back into work, when his dad had died, the funeral had happened. Well, no, the funeral hadn't happened. It was still a couple of weeks away, but his dad had died. He was back in work again. And he said, senior managers came down, a number of senior managers came down to talk to him and to reassure him that it was perfectly okay, the leave he took. And I said, so they weren't telling you off or anything then, Guy? He said, no, not at all. He said, actually, what they were really doing was sharing with me their own experiences of losing their dad. So what these senior partners are doing, and he's junior, he's not middle management, he's fairly junior, he's still a trainee in this field. So he's and a new employee and a junior. These senior managers were coming down the stairs, metaphorically, and were talking to him human to human about what it was like to lose their dad. And I said, wow. And he said, oh, absolutely. He said, I love this place. This place is brilliant. I can't believe that I've been so lucky to get a job here. They are stunning. Now he's putting in discretionary effort, because these men talk to him as a human being. You know, they took the time out of busy days just to spend 20 minutes chatting to him about, are you okay? It's very tough when you lose your dad. You know, when I lost my dad, this was the experience I had, etc., etc. Now that is sympathetic help with personal problems. Does that
I
make
guess
sense?
with Yeah, that makes sense. So I guess what when you're saying that, definitely there is an element of trust and respect between the bosses and the management and also the employees, and it does affect discretionary effort. It's allowing people, in your example, to grieve and putting a trust on them that what they're saying is actually true and they're not just going off and having a
They're
holiday.
not just saying it, they understand what grief can look like and what losing a
Mm,
parent can look like. Now, the problem is that when we feel unrewarded or unrecognized at work, we don't in our workplaces have the language to say, could you praise me more? Could you talk to me more as a human being? Could you include me more on things? Could you give me more sympathetic support? Could you, could you understand me more? We don't have the language to say that in our workplaces, but we do have the language to say, can you pay me more?
mhm,
And that's why bosses think that money is a high motivator. But actually, money is simply a symbol of recognition.
mhm.
And you can recognize people without paying them money. If you get into the habit of going, well done, thank you, that was a great piece of work. Oh, brilliant, love you to death. You can thank them. It have more impact than a pay rise once a year. If you say thank you every day, it'll have more impact than a pay rise once a year. So the trick is to find people doing things right, things that you want them to do, and to say thank you. Just say thank you. Don't over-egg it, just say thank you.
So that means that when you say that, that means that you need to communicate as well properly, even with a
Yeah,
simple thank you. Um,
yeah.
the way you do these things is actually make sure that you are communicating to your employees pretty
You need
well.
to be fair, consistent, and honest.
Mm.
That builds trust. As soon as they feel that you're playing a sort of game underneath,
Mhm.
and people aren't fools, they'll sense it
Oh
at
yeah,
almost animal
immediately. Yeah.
instinctual level, that because we are still animals. So we will feel it, we will know it. There's something not quite right.
Sometimes something is different, right? You're thinking, oh, something is wrong,
One
but I
big,
couldn't put it.
if you've got a team that distrusts praise, and sometimes you've got teams that distrust praise, give praise publicly. Again, don't make a big thing of it, but just
Not
say it
not
in
too
the
much.
hearing in the
It
hearing of
might,
other people. Because if I sidle up to you by yourself, Anna, and say, Anna, that was a really good job, your natural instinct is, and what do you want?
yeah.
So what are you going to ask me to do now? Whereas if I say publicly, Anna did a great job, Anna, you did so brilliantly last Friday, thank you so much for that. I know you put a bit of effort into that and it's really appreciated, thank you. You are much more likely to go, wow, 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 that was good. Yeah, I did something good there. Yeah. Also, what's lovely about making it public is that when you praise someone publicly, just short, make it short, sweet, don't over-egg it. It's telling everyone else in hearing, this is what gets you praise in this culture. Oh, and everyone wants praise. They want praise. So they all go, oh, and they learn, oh, if I do that, I get a thank you. So they will start emulating the praise, the behavior that you're praising. So double-edged thing. Yeah.
I know, like with discretionary effort, that means you have like a high performance in terms of employees as well. So how would you balance that? How would you balance employee well-being with
Okay.
work-life balance as well?
Oh,
Because
good question. Good
yeah.
question. Because sometimes this is where, okay, we've all done it, haven't we? We've all done it. We've all worked extremely hard, too hard. But we're caught in the hamster wheel. We're caught in the momentum of the movement, and we don't see it. But people outside of us do see it. So this is where you as a manager can just tap someone on the shoulder and say, do you know what? I think you need to go home today. Go home. Look, just drop that. Just go home. Get home early, go home, get into bed early, come back tomorrow morning. Yeah. You want people to enjoy their work. You as a business, you definitely value the discretionary effort. There's no two ways about it. But you don't want to burn them out. You don't want to be inhumane about it.
Yes.
And you want to call it sometimes. And sometimes you may say collectively, if the team itself is getting so excited, you may say, look, guys, all work is fine and grand, but let's have some play as well. So how are we going to enjoy Thursday night, Friday night or something when we've worked hard for the week? What are we going to do to celebrate? What are we going to do to let our hair down? What are we going to do to have a good time? So you can instigate this yourself or ask someone within your team to organize it. I mean, I managed a team once and we had a lady in it who just loved organizing parties, and our parties were brilliant. So I'd just say, look, we need a party. Here's 200 quid. Think of something. And she'd come up with something. And I'd be like, yes. So, we'd go and do something a bit mad. And she'd go, oh, everyone wants go-karting. And I'd go, okay, go-karting it is then. I hated go-karting, but So you would do that kind of thing so that you could so it wasn't all of one thing. I know somebody who did a great well-being initiative in a big college, and he says it took him a couple of years to get it instigated. He said, I've done it. I said, oh, why? He said, I've got everyone free Fitbits, pedometers, free pedometers. He got them sponsored. So he got everyone free pedometers. And then they got teams together, and he asked them to, the first person to walk to the moon and back, the first team to walk to the moon and back, won. There was a bit of a, increase your steps and all that kind of thing. And he said, it's brilliant. He said, we've got a public inquiry. I said, really? What's going on? He said, well, this team has been accused of tying the pedometer to their dogs and throwing balls. I said, you're kidding me. He said, no. He said, it's the best thing ever, because everyone was having a good old laugh about it. Everyone was, it was all, there was energy around this well-being initiative of steps, and everyone was just walking more. And it just sort of sunk in that walking more was better. So you could do all kinds of initiatives like that to balance it out and to make work rewarding and fun. And to meet the needs of your staff. And of course, you've got to understand your staff. If you've got a lot of young single people in your team, then they will need something different to those that are married with children, to those that, you've got to understand it all. And and what works for one team may not work for your team. So you've got to.
I guess one of the things that I would like to know as well is that what sort of things, problems, obstacles that prevent employees on going for an extra mile, and how do bosses, what practical steps can bosses take to encourage them to go above and beyond?
You cannot use a stick for the extra mile. It has to be a gift. It's called discretionary effort, because it is up to the employee's discretion as to whether they give it or not. You can only create the culture and the environment for people to be willing to give the extra effort. What obstacles get in the way? Well, cynicism, past experiences with past bosses. Everyone moves into a new job hoping it will be different, hoping I'm going to be working for a great boss, hoping that the environment here is going to be fun and that we're going to achieve some really great things and all that kind of thing, and get that real buzz of achievement. God, look what we've done together. They all hope that, but they come in with cynicism, and you've got to just prove them wrong. You've just got to prove them. You've got to hold firm. You've got to create. You've got to have in your own mind the culture that you want to create in your team. And then the quickest way, there's something I can go into that's it's a year-long program into creating your culture. There's very definite steps that you need to take. But the quickest way, and one of the most impactful ways actually to create your culture, is first of all, you define the culture that you want within your workplace, and then go around making we are statements. which are identity statements. So say you, Anna, do something extra special for this confused old lady. Yeah. And you come up and tell me, and I might say to you, Anna, what made you most proud this week? What were you most excited about this week? And you tell me the story about this confused old lady and how you stepped in and helped her out. And I will say, Anna, so I'm at the next team meeting going, Anna, do you mind sharing the story about this confused old lady? And you will tell the story about the confused old lady, which in itself is recognition for you, Anna, because you're center stage, people are looking at you, you're being singled out. And I will say, Anna, that is absolutely brilliant, because we are a team who care for our customers, and we are a team who do that little bit extra that makes all the difference for our customers. And that's an identity statement that I'm laying on the team. So the team is all sitting there going, okay, we're a team that do that little bit extra for our customers that makes all the difference. And they'll take that away and they'll start replicating it for a couple of reasons. One, I've told them explicitly who we are. And two, they've seen yourself, Anna, rewarded for doing that. So they'll go, I want to be singled out at the team meeting. I want to be rewarded for that. So they will go, okay, that's what I need to do. And they'll go and do it. Now, the trick is you've got to hold that culture and identity true, even as your staff test it. Because if you've inherited a particularly cynical team, and I've seen it, I've seen them do it
all the time.
they'll want to believe you. They'll want to believe you, but they don't quite. And let's just test this to make sure that he or she are going to hold firm on this. And you've got to hold it. You've got to create it first and hold on to it as, no, this is who we are. And then eventually they will come round to it and go, oh yeah, that's who we are. And then when you induct new people, when you bring new recruits into the team, the stories that are told by the coffee machine are the stories of the little old confused lady. Yeah. Instead of, they say one thing around here, but they mean another. And all they're interested in is profit. They're not interested in anything else. They're just interested in profit. And yeah, well, it's okay. I mean, just do your job and go home at 5 and you'll be fine. You don't want that story. You want the story of the little old lady. And we're a team too. Yeah. So that's the difference it makes. And you've got to hold the faith for them to catch up to you. Each team's unique, each context, each history is unique. So broadly speaking, that will work, but there may be specific strategies that will work specifically for your team. It may not work for others because you kind of need to create it yourself.
Okay, so I guess like in terms of when you say that, do you think like feedback as well and performance reviews
Yes.
are important?
Yes.
And how do you go about that then?
Okay. Well, I wrote the book Generous Conversations. I wrote the book Farewell, actually, which is how to fire staff so they say thank you. But in it, I talk about generous conversations. I don't believe that any feedback conversation should be harsh or hard. It should be generous because all of us have blind spots. Let me backtrack. All of us want to do a really good job. Very few people get up in the morning with the clear intention of being really difficult that day and behaving badly. People do, but they don't, that's not their intention. Their intention is to be both happy and successful at their job. That's what everyone shares. Everyone wants to be both happy and successful at their work. But something's got in the way. Something's blocking that. Your job as a manager is to find what that block is and release it. Number one is, and after that, we've all got blind spots. We've all got things that we do that we don't know we do, but everybody else knows we do them. The most common blind spot, particularly for bosses, I'm talking to you out there, is how you communicate is your tone of voice,
Mhm.
because we don't often hear ourselves. We think we're being firm, but actually we're being angry.
Mhm.
Yeah, our tone of voice is communicating anger. It's what I would suggest to any boss out there is record yourself, record your tone of voice, because that is one of the most common blind spots that anyone can have, is their tone of voice. So we've all got blind spots. We've got blind spots about what we're not doing well, and we think we are. We've got blind spots about what we're doing really well, but we don't think it's good. We've got blind spots about what we're doing bad and what we're doing good. We've all got blind spots. What a manager's job is to help an employee see themselves, see and recognize the blind spots. I know you think you're doing really well on X, but I need to let you know, I observed you last Tuesday, and last Tuesday you seem to have this habit somehow of this, and it's getting in the way of you delivering Y. And they go, oh, classic. I had a client, and she said, my staff member moans all the time. So I gave her the feedback that she appeared to me to have this habit of moaning all the time. It's only a habit, but she I'd noticed this habit that she appeared to have of moaning all the time. Now, she didn't think she had a habit of moaning all the time. She had a blind spot to it. So she did what I often say in these circumstances, advise in these circumstances. She went home. If you give somebody information about a blind spot, their first reaction is going to be, no, I don't do that. It's perfectly natural. Their first reaction is going to be, no, I don't do that. To which I reply, look, don't take my word for it. Go and check with someone that you know will tell you the truth, and see if what I'm saying has got some substance to it. Look, just go and check. Go and check for yourself. Do you have a blind spot? Anyway, so she told this lady, it appears that you have this habit of moaning all the time. And she went, no, I don't. And she said, well, go and check. So apparently that evening, she went home and asked her husband, do I moan too much? And I said, oh, did she? Well, 10 out of 10 to that lady, because that's quite a brave thing to do, isn't it? Go home to your husband and say, do I moan too much? I think the husband might have said yes. Because she said she came back the following day, a woman transformed. I said, no way. She said, Sue, she came straight back. She said she's not moaned since. Now, that's a classic of a blind spot that she didn't know she had. She highlighted it kindly, but still highlighted it. She said, go check, because why should she just do something just because you say? She went and checked. She checked it out for herself, and she went, oh my gosh, I've got this habit of moaning too much. And she changed. Feedback. Wonderful. So you can create a culture where feedback is given not just from you to the employee, but you can create a culture, and you might need to input some training for your staff on this, where staff can feedback to each other.
Mhm. Yeah.
And there's been a couple of companies that have done that. And it's not just about how to give feedback, but also how to receive feedback, because it's sort of two-way things. Two-way thing, yeah. So you can set up a culture where the team just feeds back to itself, and that can be very exciting. Too often, small businesses think that the way that big corporates do things is the right way to do things when it comes to people. It's not. The way that big corporate do things is, to my mind, poor. And also belies if you are managing a small, flexible business, then why not be flexible in how you manage people? And why not be more innovative? Why not be more personalized? Why not be more individualistic in the way in which you manage people? So, for example, I'm of the theory that you don't actually, if you do things right and feedback happens anyway, as it should, you don't actually need a formal performance appraisal system at all. You don't need it. you can be much more innovative. I worked in an IT company that did not have job descriptions. We were 150, 200 strong. We did not have job descriptions. For one reason, working in IT, we were so fast paced in terms of change. If we wrote it, it's out of date in 6 months.
It's out of date.
So why put all that effort in? The only reason that big corporates have job descriptions is for salary scales.
Yeah, scales
and salary bands,
pensions, and to get the
and it serves a purpose when you've got that large number of people. It serves a purpose, but for a small, agile, quick growth, innovative, flexible organization, having a written job description, it takes a load of work for very little benefit. And so don't follow what big companies do, thinking that is the proper way of doing things around when it comes to people. It's not. Seize what your size provides you, which is this fantastic personalization, innovation, flexibility, adaptability, and energy, quite frankly. Yeah.
Okay. I guess my last question. So I've asked my last question for you would be, what is the main takeaway for you that leaders and employees should know about discretionary effort?
I think the key question that I want people to go away with is that if you want trust and respect and discretionary effort from your staff, and thinking a little bit broader, thinking a little bit bigger, you first need to give it to your staff.
Mm-hmm.
You can't ask of your staff what you're not already giving them. So you need to put discretionary effort into them. You need to trust and respect them first. And it's hard to do that because I've had some managers going, but Sue, their behavior is so bad, I can't trust and respect them. Well, the first thing was respect is there was a staff member I had, and this was, she seemed to take a great delight in giving me bad news. I know. And so whenever I saw her, I saw this person that was always giving me bad news. And I didn't like that. And it showed on my face. So I saw her, looked up and thought, oh God, and it showed on my face, oh God, here she comes again. And she would come to me with a big smile on her face to give me bad news. And I didn't respect her and I didn't like her. And so she continued to behave badly towards me so I thought I'd change it. I'd find something that I respected about her, and that genuinely, and I whenever I saw her, I thought about what I respected about her. Oh, there she is. She was a really good mother. So there she is. She's a really good mother. So whenever I saw her, I naturally smiled because there she is. She's a really good mother. And I remember she was coming across the floor towards me, and it was clear that she had some bad news to tell me again because I could see it on her face. And I looked up, and instead of scowling and showing disrespect, I looked up and I smiled and showed her respect. And I swear she hesitated. She hesitated. And I said, hello. And my tone changed immediately. Hello. And she said, if I want respect from a member of staff or trust, I have to give it first, and then they'll give it to me. I cannot demand it of them. I can't demand it of them ever. Also, if I give it first and they don't reciprocate, I'm not talking initially because it takes some time for people to reciprocate, but if after a period of time they don't reciprocate, I can then go, look, I trust you, I respect you. Can you not do the same for me? And I can have a generous conversation with them. But I cannot ask them to give me what I'm not already giving them. I refuse to be that hypocrite. And as a boss, if you're a hypocrite, that's it, you're dead. So that's what I would like people to remember.
Thank you. So I guess that's one of our last questions today, Sue. So lastly, I want to ask, how do people find you as well, and how do they connect with you?
Okay, I'm on LinkedIn, but you can always email me, sue@conversewell.com. Just send me a hello, or you can go to my website and you can click on there and send me a message from my website. Yeah, and just reach out. I'm very passionate about bosses getting this right, because it leads to a lot of money for you in your back pocket and a lot of happiness and achievement and pride for your team, and the same for yourself. And it is a skill set to learn how to lead and manage people well, but you can learn it. There's a language pattern to it and there's a skill set, but you can learn it. And it's such a great joy when I hear of my clients going, "Oh, you'll never believe what she did." And they go, "Oh, that's amazing." It can change people's lives for the better, being a good boss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Sue, for today. So everyone, do not forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode. And until next time, see you. Bye.